So we talked about the beauty. Let's talk about some of the challenges and the struggles that queer people have when it comes to queer friendships and queer relationships like that as well. So some of the key things could be what we call trauma bonding versus true connection. And so what this means is that we might realize that some of our friendships, some of our chosen family friendships, may be built on the shared wounds, the shared traumas that you've been through in your life, rather than mutual support. And what can that mean? So what that means is that like you meet someone who has gone through almost very similar circumstances with you, and you have this extreme bond because you feel like, wow, like this person has gone through that. They've seen it. They've understood it. They're where they are at in their journey. So we can bounce up each other. Welcome to the Queer Quest podcast, your beacon of light and sprinkle of glitter in the queer community. I'm your host, Cristiano Green, CEO and founder of Queer Quest and a transformation coach for queer individuals. And together, we're embarking on a journey of transformation. Each week, we bring you a new training topic or connecting with visionary queer leaders in healing and coaching, diving deep into conversations that inspire growth, celebrate diversity, and empower you to live authentically. So wherever you are, settle in and let's get ready to unlock the vibrant potential within. This is where your quest begins. Hello, all you fabulous souls, and welcome to another episode of the Queer Quest podcast. I'm your host, Cristiano Green, the CEO and founder of Queer Quest and a transformation coach for people in the queer community. So this week on the podcast, I'm doing another solo episode. I love talking to you guys. I love, getting out there and talking about specific topics that I think are obviously relatable and obviously have a purpose for people in the queer community. So this week on podcast, what I really wanted to talk about was the complexities of friendships in the queer community. Now, for people in this queer community, friendships are everything, especially, where chosen family often takes the place of blood ties for some of us, right? Sometimes many of us. But let's be real. Friendships can be messy. They can be toxic. They can be healing. They can be transformative. And sometimes they can be heartbreakingly complicated. So in this episode, what we're doing is we're diving into the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful of queer friendships. So before we jump in, if you're someone who loves the podcast, who gets value out of today, what I would really, really love for you to do is to like, comment, share, follow, review, whatever you can do to make this podcast just a little bit better. Because what happens is when you do that, it goes out doing all the, online algorithms to more and more people in this community. So if you could do that, that would be an absolute pleasure. So let's dive in. So let's first talk about the beauty of queer friendships, right? Now, of course, we know that there are many of us in this queer community who have struggled when it comes to their relationship, when it comes to their own blood ties, their family, right? Now, this could be because you have come out, when it comes to relating to your sexuality or your gender, and people or everyone or some people within your family have an issue accepting who you are, who your identity is, right? And because of that, that means that you might feel isolated, you might feel hurt, you might feel angry, you might feel a myriad of emotions, and you might feel very kind of lost and lonely as well. And so out there, going out and finding and creating friendships with other people in the queer community that, the power of what we class as chosen family, can mean that those bonds that you have and you create become stronger, and they feel stronger than maybe if you were, actually physically related to your own family. So the chosen family can have a sense of strength, a sense of community, a sense of acceptance, belonging, and freedom, and that's some of the beauty that we would find in. Now, of course, what comes with that, there can be an unspoken understanding. The shared experiences that make queer friendships unique are the the fact that they get it. They've either gone through it themselves when it comes to, say, coming out of the closet in whatever form that is for you. They can understand and relate to you going on this journey and, you know, trying to be your most authentic self and not hiding in the shadows like maybe you've done for many, many years, right? Many of us have been repressed and hidden for far too long because, again, we grew up in a society that necessarily hasn't been created for people in the queer community to thrive or to win. And so, again, some of those people that have harmed us are people that are, like I said, are the most closest to us in our family. And those rejections can come with some real dark wounds and traumas. And so having that unspoken understanding between you and your chosen family, chosen friends, means that it feels a little bit safer. Like, oh, they get it. I don't have to explain it. I don't have to go through all of these different conversations or try to make you accept me for me instead of doing the opposite is I have to change who I am to fit into you so that you do accept me and do love me, which is, of course, the cycle that we go through as we grow up and come to terms with truly who we are. Now, these friendships in the queer community or chosen family can also come with emotional safety and validation. So they provide you often with a safe space for you to express yourself, to go on that journey of expression, whether when that comes to your sexuality, your gender, or how you just self-identify and express yourself in this world, whether that's with how you choose to, fashion, clothes, how you choose to have your hair, how you choose to present yourself, how you choose to communicate, right? Because often you'll find that as you navigate it and you become more authentic, the way and the flow of how you talk, how you walk, they will shift. Not because it's like there's this one way to be gay, queer, or whatever, right? It's just more like you feel like you can be yourself because oftentimes you're surrounding yourself more with people in that community and you feel a little bit more able to express yourself and see what feels right for you, what you enjoy. And some people may call that, being camp, being sassy, but I class it as being authentic and finding out and playing around with the world and your expression and figuring out what fits and what doesn't. Who I was when I first came out was overtly camp, overtly sassy, right? That was just me finding my way. Now, I still have some of those qualities within me today for sure. And you can ask my partner, you can ask some of my friends. But, it's definitely not where it was because I think I jumped in to try to fit with it. But then, of course, I shifted around and figured out what is right for me, what is authentic to me. And the great thing I was able to do that was because I had a lot of people in the queer community that I was friends with, especially when I was back in Sydney. Pretty much my whole life revolved around, the gay scene outside of, my normal career and things like that. But, on the weekends, hanging out with friends, majority of my friends were part of the queer community. A high majority of them were gay men, of course, because, I am a gay man as well. That's how I identify as well. And so, of course, when you go out, often, you go to certain clubs or bars or events and, of course, you find your people. And so, of course, if I was, say, non-binary or trans, you find your people as well. And so, of course, I do know people, of course, that are non-binary or trans, lesbians and all those things as well. I'm friends with those people as well. What I'm trying to get at, though, is that, majority of my friendships were gay men because, again, I identified with that and I was able to find those there. So for me, I felt that emotional safety and validation because they kind of got it and they gave me the safe space to allow it. And sometimes they gave me some, girl, are you sure you want to do that? And I would, think about it again and, go ahead with it. So that's some of the beauty of queer friendships. Further on with that, it's about also, when you've got really good friendships, it's also about celebrating each other's queerness or gayness or whatever that person specifically identifies as, because friendships really can be a mirror for our own identity, our own self-love, and our own growth. And so being able to identify that way and kind of, like I said, celebrating it, it feels good to be in environments where you are celebrated for just who you are or how you identify. And there's no judgment around that really as well. And of course, a great thing about that and being able to have that, the power of chosen family, the unspoken understanding, the celebration, some can really help you to heal from past wounds. Because, of course, we know growing up in the world as queer people, as gay people, as, transgender people, wherever you feel within the spectrums of sexuality, gender, relationships that are non-conforming as well. There's been some stuff that's been put onto you, right? And whether that's from family, society, other friendships, people at your workplace, whatever it is, right? You have dealt with some wounds and some traumas. And so having friendships within the queer community that are supportive and uplifting, though they can actually be healing as well. They can help you heal those wounds because you've been able to express that. You can see other people moving forward with it and learning from them. And you might feel like, oh, wow, like because I feel accepted and included and part of a community and a tribe, I feel like I'm able to deal with some of this internalized shame, internalized homophobia, queerphobia, transphobia, and just truly step into your truth, right? As a human being. And that can be incredibly healing. So some of the power, some of the beauty of queer relationships.
Are you ready to embark on a journey of transformation that's uniquely yours? Welcome to QueerQuest, the world's first and best personal development platform created by and for the queer community. Imagine a space where your authenticity isn't just accepted, it's celebrated. A place where you can grow, learn, and thrive alongside a vibrant community that understands you. At QueerQuest, we're more than just a platform. We're a family. Connect with like-minded individuals, share your stories, and empower each other to reach new heights. Our tailored courses are designed to address the unique experiences of the queer community, from self-love and confidence building to career advancement and beyond. We've got you covered. It's time to step into your power and transform your journey. Join us today at courses.queerquest.vip, see what we're all about, and sign up to begin your quest.
So we've talked about the beauty. Let's talk about some of the challenges and the struggles that queer people have when it comes to queer friendships and queer relationships like that as well. So some of the key things could be what we call trauma bonding versus true connection. And so what this means is that we might realize that some of our friendships, some of our chosen family friendships, may be built on the shared wounds, the shared traumas that you've been through in your life, rather than mutual support. And what can that mean? So what that means is that like you meet someone who has gone through almost very similar circumstances with you, and you have this extreme bond because you feel like, wow, like this person has gone through that. They've seen it. They've understood it. They're where they are in their journey. So we can bounce up each other. But you might find that with some people that you find that when you take away that part of it, do you have a proper connection? Do you have mutual support and understanding? Because when we have people, specifically that are dealing with trauma or dealing with wounds, if they don't work on healing that or overcoming those areas, what that can be is that it can create a unhealthy dynamic. It can create what we class as either jealousy or competition. And you might be comparing yourself to each other, or one person's doing it to you, and you have this weird feeling of like, why is someone who's my friend never seems to be truly supporting me as I'm moving forward? Maybe they have some insecurities around themselves, and seeing you move forward brings that up to the surface for them, and maybe they feel left behind. Maybe they feel like, wow, like I'm not good enough and he's moving forward. He or she or they are going out there and, finding a partner or going dating, and I'm here on my own, and we've been close and we've been hanging out all the time. And so you find that there's this thing of jealousy and competition and insecurities that come up. And again, like I said, if your relationships have been solely built on the traumas that you've gone through, the bond that you've had, instead of, like I said, that deep, true connection of actually having a lot of things in common and just like totally getting each other, it can be difficult. And that can be a challenge and a struggle for you in building long-term friendships as well. So again, understanding that you might have, and I've experienced this myself, and I've been on both sides of it. I've had friends where I have been definitely jealous and competitive with when I've been, younger years. My hand up. I know I've been that way. I was dealing with a lot of trauma myself, and again, it comes up with all these different emotions. And I had to work through that to clear that out, to then be able to have a better friendship, or like I said, let that friendship specifically go, and then find others that are healthy for me as well. I've also been on the other side of it where I've had people who I know definitely aren't supportive of me, who are maybe, like I said, are jealous of me or, whatnot, and are talking negatively about me behind my back to other people that I know. Because maybe, again, insecurities, jealous, especially as I moved forward and started shifting out of the world that I was in, which was I used to, I used to go out every weekend, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a week, getting, absolutely lit up or drunk, and then taking party drugs to the point where I would black out. I would know I'd wake up in different people's houses, didn't know how I got there, who was next to me, and just like a lot of that stuff, and I know that a lot of people in the spirit community can relate to it because, again, 1 in 3 of us suffer with like substance abuse or addictions and things like that. And, especially when you go into big cities where there is bigger gay and queer scenes, it can be easily to fall into it. I know I can't count how many people that I was friends with at some point who've gone all the way down the rabbit hole of alcohol and drug abuse to the point they're not the same person anymore. And unfortunately, they were at that time specifically willing to make changes. I've lost people who've died from drug overdose or suicide because they didn't see another way out, And of course, that's very heartbreaking to find out that people you once were so close to have gone so far away from who they are. And again, eventually some of them are no longer here. So that can be hard. And of course, when it comes down to it, the challenge and the struggle is there are like, if you have a relationship with someone, it doesn't work out, you break up. Again, this is the same things happen when it comes to friendships. There are friendships breakups. And again, these can be the same level or sometimes even more painful than breaking up with a romantic partner. Because again, your partner, your friends might have been there for all of the thick and the thins, the ups and the downs, for years and years and years. And you've gone through a lot of stuff together, especially go out in the parties and you have gone through people seeing everyone at their worst, you being at your worst and still overcoming that. But again, sometimes it gets to a point where you can't go any further because, again, you might be going here, they might be going there, and unfortunately the friendship breaks up. I know, again, specifically when I went through the big change that I went through in my life, 5 years ago, and I really got myself clean and sober, sorted everything out, left the corporate world, started my coaching business, moved overseas. Throughout that, I had what I thought was a lot of really, really, really close friendships. And I found that through that period, I had to let go of a lot of those relationships. And it was extremely painful to realize that like some people didn't want to see the best in you because what you doing best made them feel worse. So you had to step away for your own sake, but I guess it was for theirs as well because of that jealousy and that competition. And it led to ultimate not being able to come together by no fault of mine. I tried and tried and tried. But when someone keeps putting you in negative situations, especially when you give up alcohol and drugs and they come around you with alcohol and drugs and offer them to you, it can be really triggering and that can be really traumatic. And being able to have to let some of those friendships go, those ending of those, it is unfortunately quite painful as well. Of course, when it comes to friendships as well, you can navigate friendships, but sometimes you'll find that depending on where you started, I know some of these relationships that I'm talking about, and I started them when I was 20, 21 years old. I was at a place where before that, I didn't have any friends. Before I came out, I didn't have any friends at all. And so for me, building friendships with people when you come from a place of like wanting people to like you and love you, you don't have any boundaries. And there's always this sense of pressure to be the best friend to someone because you want them to like you. So I had this people pleasing mindset, had no boundaries around it. Like people could say to you whatever they wanted around me and vice versa. And like I said, it comes with this level of, is this friendship healthy or toxic? Because I didn't allow myself to say no to people. I would always say yes, 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 even at the detriment of myself. And so the struggle is, how do I then know that now I need some boundaries? How do I set them, enforce them, and still maintain the friendship that you want to have? That can be really tricky. And the other person may not understand it because, again, you might be friends with them for 5, 10 plus years. And it's always been the same way, like this way. But then when you change and you make things different, that can cause a real friction between you, a real conflict between you as well. And then, of course, especially when it comes to queer relationships, you've got to navigate some romantic tension because undoubtedly, if you're gay or lesbian and you've got other gay or lesbian friends, I bet you everyone here has had a situation where you have either liked one of your friends or they have liked you and it hasn't been reciprocated, and then the lines get blurred. Or maybe, you've hooked up with someone when you've been really drunk, and then, that's blurred the line because to you it was just this, when you were in those states of mind. But of course, the other person catches feelings or has different emotions. And again, it blurs into something, and then that can really cause issues and challenges or struggles within your friendship. And so, other guys figuring out how to navigate that. How do you either set the barrier and boundaries and say, look, this is how it is. I want to be friends with you, et cetera, or, the person feels like you've led them on. And then that can either be a friendship ending experience. I've had that myself, both sides of it. People liking me and it causing issues. Or I've also had people who like me where it didn't cause issues, where we just had a conversation, moved on. But I've also been on the opposite, where I really liked them and it wasn't reciprocated, and it caused a lot of the friendship's not there anymore, so it ended. So simple as that, right? We got it. So it can get worse though, because again, we can have what we class as toxic friendships, where on one side there's, manipulation, there's gaslighting, codependency, blaming, superiority, really extreme expectations of you and what you should be doing, or vice versa. And that's what we class as toxic. Now, some of these people can be, have personality disorders like bipolar or schizophrenia or, narcissism. I've recently dealt with a friendship that, after realizing it was an extremely narcissistic person. And the behaviors, if I went down every list of the things that come up with a narcissist, like tick, 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 tick. And when you're in the friendship, everything's so small that you kind of just let them go until they build into a bigger thing. So you might be realizing, how did I get here to the point where this person is manipulating me, gaslighting me, is like talking bad about me, is blaming me, is making me feel like I've done something wrong, is jealous of me, insecure, like all of these things. But, you've opened the eyes and you finally see it. What do you do and how do you navigate that? Because again, this person may have been in your life for a very long time and you aren't aware of it. And now you have to deal with this toxic friendship. And it may not be as extreme as someone being narcissistic, but it might be that there is levels of manipulation and gaslighting and codependency that happen within friendships. Those things aren't just defined to dating and relationships. They can happen between, like I said, the best of friends. And sometimes we are unaware of it, or we are, and we are just, enablers in those situations. And now maybe we're realizing that's not right for us. What do we need to do? Because let's be honest, this is ugly at times, and we've got to figure out what to do. Some of the other things that can be really, can cause things to be really ugly is a level of like clicks and exclusivity. So meaning like sometimes when you're in a relationship, for the majority, of course, if you have one partner, right? It's not a throuple or a quadruple. Of course, those things are out there and they have their own things, but we're talking about specifically friendship. If friendships, there's what we call as friendship groups, then some people call them cliques, right? So it might be that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many people in your friendship group. Especially you'll see this, especially more when it comes to high school and workplaces or early, in your early 20s, college, all of that kind of stuff, right? Where you're a group of friends and whatnot, right? Now, again, it can be that, the dynamics of a group can be really shifted and difficult depending on the personalities that are involved with it. And so it can be really ugly, especially like, when you've got certain people who don't click with certain people, or they feel like they're better than that person, or they feel like that person has an issue with them and it's not solvable, or someone is in the group is manipulating or gaslighting and doing these things, right, to other people, and you're seeing it and that person's not aware of it. It's like it can come up with a lot of difficult, ugly things, right? Or it could be like, yes, the click is like this thing where it's like we've got this group of people here and we don't want anyone else in it. It's like we're not inviting or welcoming to other people. And so you almost feel like you have to live up to the certain standards that the clique has created for you to be a part of it. So it almost feels like it's a conditional level of friendship as well when it comes to those kinds of situations. I'm not saying that this is not an all or nothing. This is just specific issues that can arise, especially when it comes to gay men, right? Especially gay men who might struggle with their own wounds, jealousy, competition, struggles with boundaries, romantic tension. All of these different dynamics at play can definitely create some ugliness and some negativity, and it can be really difficult to navigate as well. For me, I'm the kind of person that I've got quite a few different friendships, but for me, I see them all as one-on-one. I don't see it as a group thing because I also I've done that whole thing. I used to have the big group of friends, 10, 15 of us, and we would go out at least once a week all together. And I just saw all the dynamics where there was people that I did not like, people did not like me, people I clicked with, people with this with, and we'd go off this way, and some people feel excluded. And this is so it definitely had its toxicity and ugliness within it. But so today I'm the type of person that's like, I'm a one-on-one. If I'm friends with you, happy, let's go for dinner. Or like a small group, like where it's like, okay, we know that the 3 or 4 of us can catch up. It might be me and my partner with someone else and their partner, right? Like it's a smaller, intimate thing. I don't like it when it's 5, 6, 7 plus people because it's like, to me, that's not what I want to do. I'm not here to connect with 10 people. I'm here to have those intimate conversations between my friends who I adore, finding out about their lives, sharing my things, wins, losses, ups, downs, all of that stuff. That really feels that way. What are some other things that could be classed as ugly or negative in friendships? Misalignment in values. It might mean that you guys have been friends for a long time and realizing that you don't have the same values. So maybe you're valuing more of your identity and getting to know yourself and growing and healing, and they're valuing going out and partying and shit-faced, right? Or it might be that you value wanting to have a relationship and they want to, hook up and play around the field, right? Now, this doesn't mean those small things are going to specifically cause an issue because, right, it's great. Like people have their own personality and whatnot, but there are going to be some values where there's a misalignment that's going to cause issues. Now, it could be on political things. It could be on the way that you see your future going and where they're going. So it's the misalignment that can really lead to, like I said, friendships growing apart and going in different ways, different belief systems, right? Like you grow up in a different system, culturally, then your beliefs might be different as well. And so again, this misalignment in values cause some tension, some friction, and just like, well, like this person doesn't get me. So that can be something as well. Now, when it comes down to things like queer friendships, cancel culture, someone could do something wrong and this can lead to public shaming, especially in the world of social media. And that can cause some of the ugly stuff. And some people can jump on the bandwagon. If someone's done something wrong, like people can jump on that negativity of like shame, shame, shame. And that can all definitely cause problems as well, because a lot of people's lives are lived on social media. And so people might jump on a bandwagon and, that can, of course, cause some issues as well. Like we're talking about things like where you see people who you know in real life are one way and they're showing up online a completely different way because, again, they want to be performative, right? And so that can cause issues because you're like, that is not who you are. That is why you're showing up in a way here that I don't see. I personally seen that as well with friends where they literally are like running around like they're the influencer of the year. And in fact, at home, like they're eating 2-minute noodles, but like they're going out to a restaurant with 5 other people ordering one dish and like doing all of the pictures and all this stuff and acting away in order to come across in a way. And great, you do you. But again, that's to me personally is like, again, a misalignment of values. Is like you needing all these other people's validation that are out external to you. And you're using that at the expense of your other friendships as well. So those are some of the ugly sides, and just people being people, and just like I said, realizing that what you need and value is different to what I need and value as well. So what are some of the things that we can look at when it comes to the growth and the evolution of queer friendships? So, of course, as you evolve and you grow up, you might start to realize that you want to make new queer friends as an adult, right? Like there's people that you knew when you first came out may not be the people that you're still friends with, right? Because it can be difficult to, of course, when you're going out partying every week, you're young, you're drinking, you're doing all of that laugh. It can be so easy to meet people. For me, I felt like I was a laugh at the party for many, many years, right? Like I knew almost everyone. I'd be like, hey, girl, blah, blah. Like that was my life. But of course, now that I'm, in my 30s, I don't go out. I don't really drink. Literally very, very rarely will I ever drink. I don't do drugs. And so for me, it's not going to be as easy for me, especially also living in a place like Bali where like, if, the gay and queer scene isn't as big and prosperous as it is in a place like Sydney, which is where I was before. So it can be difficult for people, depending on your life circumstances, to make new queer friends as an adult. It's not difficult. It's not like you can't do it, but it becomes more difficult and you have to be more purposeful because, again, who you are at that age is different. And so what you want out of life and what you want out of friendship are going to be different. So it has to become to a point where you become aware of what kind of friendships you're looking for. What are you planning to give to the friendship? What are you looking to receive from it? And, what can you do to get that? For me here, if I wanted to really go out on the queer scene, it would be, most of it is just there's a couple of gay bars and I have to go there to do it. I do that maybe once or twice a year because I want to dance and I want to be around it. But for majority of that, most of the people that I meet that are, that are part of the queer community, are, people that are, friends that were friends with my partner or ran into randomly here and there. From playing tennis or something like that, right? So it's not being acted to do. Most of the friendships that are in the queer world that I have are online from people across the world. I've got so many clients across the world that I work with and talk with. And again, I know my relationship with them is, coach and client or coach and student, however you want to look at it. But there's a level of connection that we have that, I want to see them do well. So, you check in on them and you find out about what's going on in their life and you cheer them on as you find that out as well. So there's that level as well. Also got other friendships that I've had back in, when I was living in Sydney. And so for me, it's about how do you continue to nourish those friendships when, again, you've moved to a different place in the world, different part of your life. And again, you're not doing the same things that you always did because you'll realize some of those will go away. But some of the ones that stick around, you go, okay, this was a good one as well. What do you need to do to nurture and sustain friendship? Because you have to put in intentional effort to show up each other, whether that's to their life events, whether that's for them when they're going through a difficult period of their life, or whether it's something that is just like making time and effort to catch up and get to know what's going on with them. Asking them questions that are just not surface, deeper level questions. For me, I don't give a shit too much about, how old you are, where did you grow up? Of course, those things will come. But I'm more of like, tell me about your experience as a queer person. Tell me about, your family. Tell me about, what made you decide to do what you're doing for a living? What made you decide to come to where you are? Like all of these things to get to know the person on a deeper level and the way that they think as well, for me. How do you also communicate through conflict? Because again, everyone has different styles. Everyone has different attachments. Everyone has come into this place through a different lens. So your view of the world, your perspective, your perceptions are going to be different. And so you are going to have conflicts at times with some of your friends. And so how do you communicate through conflict? Are you someone who will address things? Or are you someone who's waiting for someone else to address it? Or do you try to avoid them? Or do you try to numb things as well, right? How do you repair a friendship in a healthy way? Because just because someone has done something wrong, which you feel is to you, does not mean that they did something wrong to you. Again, that could be a perception. They might be doing something that was right for them, and unintentionally it led for you to feel a certain type of way, right? Also, what's the important point where you say, like, enough's enough? When is it right to let go? You've got to understand that not all friendships are meant to be last forever. When I learned that lesson, I was free of a lot of heartache and pain. I was struggling with that for a while when especially when I moved here. I was like, wow, I thought these people would be in my life forever. I really did. And then I had to let go and say, look, it's not that way. It's not that way. It's okay. So I'm the clever person. It's like, okay, like people can come into my life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And so being friends with someone for a year or 2 years or 3 years or 10 years, and it doesn't evolve further, I'm okay with that. I will look back and try to take the beautifulness and the blessings from those friendships, and sometimes just say, you do you, boo-boo, and let me be me. Because again, sometimes where you've grown to and how you've connected, it's just gone in different directions. It's totally okay. Learning that is a powerful thing in your life, when it's okay to understand that not everything's going to be forever. And you letting things go and moving forward is a positive thing as well. And also understand that friendship is an act of, revolution. So how do we create spaces that are filled with joy and healing and queer excellence together? For me, how do I do that? Is through my company, QuickQuest. So QuickQuest is the world's first online personal development and healing platform for people in the queer community. So we have online courses, we do monthly workshops, we have an online social media forum as well where people can connect and build better friendships as well. And so each of these workshops is specifically the things that we do, are all around helping people to realize where they're at, especially when it comes to our lives holistically. So we look at ourselves holistically. We are, you've got the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. You've got your career, you've got your finances, you've got your environment where you live, you've got your recreation, you've got your social friendships, you've got your intimate relationships, you've got your cultural background, you've got your identity, your queer identity as well, right? And so having a space where you can navigate and go through that and really see yourself holistically allows you to go on that journey of healing and growth, but also connection, because there are other people in the community that are doing the same thing. And so again, if you're looking for people who are more aligned to you and growth and healing and not the partying and all those things, and QuickQuest can be a really positive thing. Now, I'm not saying that those two have to be separate. So you can be someone who loves to go out and party. You can also be someone who wants to enjoy growth and transformation in your life as well, which is why QuickQuest is perfect for that, because again, it's a place where I felt like I wanted to create something to bring more queer people into my life, but do it in an environment that is nurturing, supportive, and healing and transformative as well. So again, that is an act of revolution. And again, it's allowing me to have more queer people in my life as well. So I really want to leave you with some key questions I would love for you to reflect on over the coming days and weeks. And of course, you individually can take each perception, each part of it, and just really go deeper, as deep as you want to do. So question one is, what's been your experience with queer friendships up until this point? What are the highs? What are the lows? And what is all the stuff that's in between? So talk about your experience and really ponder on that as well. And then the second one is, what is one thing that you've learned about yourself through these queer friendships that you don't believe you would have learned if it wasn't through queer friendships as well? Now, this episode will be a deep, honest, and emotional conversation about the friendships that shape us as queer people. I just want you to be ready and to dive in and to take what you've heard today to something key and important. Really think about this topic on a deeper level, because friendships are some of the most important and pivotal things in your life. You cannot go through this life on your own, and you shouldn't have to. So being able to find a community a chosen family, a queer, loving, supportive group of people around you so you can express yourself authentically as who you are. That is the act of revelation. And that is something that I'm trying for us to build. So again, if you've gotten value out of this episode, I would love it if you could like, share, comment, subscribe, review, whatever you feel comfortable doing that's going to help this grow out and go out to more and more queer people. Alrighty then, I am going to leave it there. I really appreciate you listening here to the end. Of course, if you've got any stories, shares, you want to even, share your reflection questions, the answers that have come up to you, you can find me across all social media platforms, or you can comment below if you feel like doing it publicly as well. And of course, if you want to know more about QueerQuest Pro, the platform, I'm going to link that below so that you can check that out. And hopefully we'll see you in there at some point in the future. I'm going to be back next week with a brand new episode of the QueerQuest podcast. But until then, always remember that you've got this and I've got you. Bye for now.